One day, a while back, I saw Beth wearing that t-shirt that she has on, and it said salty and lit, with that passage out of Matthew as the citation at the bottom. I loved it, immediately went out and bought one of my own, and you see it's a little different. There's all kinds of them out there on the internet you can buy. This one was about 15 bucks. If you want one, you can go get one. I knew when I saw that shirt that one day I would do a coffee house church about it, and here we are. The shirt is a play on words from the gospel about us being the salt of the earth and the light of the world. So let's take a few minutes this morning and consider that passage. So let's set the scene here. Jesus is teaching to his disciples on the mountainside while great crowds gather below. The implication is that Jesus was preaching just to his disciples, but possibly that large crowd was mesmerized by what he was saying and was creeping in on them and had become within earshot. In Luke's version of this story, we read that Jesus does go down to the people who were clamoring for him to touch them and heal them. Luke's gospel implies that Jesus was teaching to the apostles and to the crowds, and I tend to believe this might have been the case. Whatever he was charismatic, and people were drawn to him. So what would it have been like to be part of that crowd? What if we had all been standing there amidst that crowd? What if we heard about this Jesus and wanted to go and see firsthand just what all the clamor was about? We have come to listen and to learn and to maybe be healed or to have a chance at getting our broken lives put back together. We had come searching for meaning, for direction in our lives. We had come searching for a purpose. And then you hear Jesus speak these words. You are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. Salt of the earth? Light of the world? Me? Us? What does that mean? Though these words seem very simple, they have profound implications. For one thing, it means that we are to flavor the world. Just like seasoning and spices, we are called on to transform our normal human activities in such a way that what we say and what we do reveals God to the world. It means that we are to help other people better see God in their lives. It means we are to shine our light into the darkest places of the world. Jesus is telling us that you and I are the way by which God flavors and illuminates life in our world. Christ has proclaimed us as the salt and the light, not just for ourselves, but so that others might eat and see better. We are meant to sprinkle out into the world the salt of divinity that has been poured into our hands. We are to shine the light of that divinity out on others, and we are to brighten all of life. But it is even more than just that. Pastor Jill Dunfield helps us to think deeper about these concepts as they apply in today's crazy world when she writes, "What if the salt of the world has lost its taste? And what if that light has been extinguished for those desperate to see a glimpse of it?" That is what we do when we are afraid. It's the opposite of what Jesus calls us to do. The word from Jesus is from on high is to be in service for those who are trampled underfoot. Jesus doesn't tell us to just tend to our own, keep our heads down, keep our noses clean, and hide and be safe. We are told in Isaiah to shout out the rebellion, the apostasy, the injustice, and the exploitation of the vulnerable. We are to be as aggravating and irritating as salt in the wound of those evil persons who would seek to destroy or hurt on God's holy mountain. We are to shine a floodlight on evil, cruelty, and meanness. The righteousness that exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees is the righteousness that fulfills the whole law, which is love of God and neighbor and ourselves, no matter the cost. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Shout, irritate, burn so brightly it hurts the eyes of those who profoundly fast and worship but fail to feed and house. This is no ordinary time either. Jesus' band of fishermen and tax collectors and ragtag sinners must be bold and confident, not in their own expertise, power, or abilities, but in unquestionable loyalty to the one who settles for nothing less than our lives, and we must do the same. The salt of the earth and the light of the world preserve the perishable, warm the shivering. The only way not to give in to temptation is to focus on Jesus Christ, His Word, and His way. If you think about it, as an extremely important thing our Lord calls us to do. Jesus tells us we are to be salty and lit. Now, those words have other meanings, and it might be kind of fun to play with those meanings for a moment this morning. The word salty, in addition to being a noun for a kind of seasoning, can mean, when used as an adjective for a person, someone who is confident, spirited, and colorful. And at least in my world, the word lit can be used as a slang term for being drunk. So the term salty and lit could mean a colorful drunk person. But what if we think of it in a more spiritual sense? As a follower of Christ, we are to be spirited, and think of the lovely double meaning of that word, confident and colorful people. Not bland people who just follow society wherever it goes, but someone you remember after meeting them. And what if, by being lit, we are being drunk for the Lord? Remember the passage out of Acts from the Pentecost story when the crowd saw the disciples so excited and energized by the Spirit, and they thought they were drunk? But Peter, standing with the 11, raised his voice and addressed them, saying, "Fellow Jews and all who live in Jerusalem, let this be known to you, and listen to what I say. Indeed, these are not drunk as you suppose, for it is only 9 o'clock in the morning. No, this is what was spoken through the prophet Joel. In the last days it will be, God declares, that I will pour my Spirit out upon all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Even upon my slaves, both men and women, in those days I will pour out my Spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show portents in the heavens above of blood and fire and smoke and mist. The sun shall be turned to darkness, and the moon to blood, before the coming of the Lord's great and glorious day. And everyone who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved." Can we be those people? Can we be salty and lit? Colorful, confident, lit by the Spirit. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a fun group of folks. Wouldn't others want to be part of a group that was salty and lit? Brenda and Beth have done some fun things for refreshments today that will help us think about being salty and lit. Because it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, there's no alcohol involved in those drinks, but the thought is there, okay? I hope you will stay around for a little while after worship this morning and share and enjoy the food and fellowship and spirit with each other. And then I hope you will go out from this place into the world and share the salt and the light with others. Go forth salty and lit. Please, Lord, make it so. Amen.